Hi everyone. So filming this at the time of the coronavirus pandemic, and at the moment it's really difficult for people in terms of mental health. I work on the front line, so I'm talking to a lot of different people and hearing the struggles that people are having, and I think it's just affecting absolutely everyone, and it's really hard. So I thought that now would be a good time to talk a bit about some of the things that I've been through myself, how I've got through it, and things that I've read that have helped me, because I think when people talk about it, it normalises things and helps people feel less alone. I am talking at a time where I do feel okay, so I feel in a position to try and say things that might help other people. It's not something that I'd have felt confident talking about at the time when I was really struggling. I'm going to read something directly, but I'm also going to put it up on the screen because I don't know if my reading will do it justice. I read this on Twitter by Matt Haig. He said, "You can be a paradox. You can sound confident and have anxiety. You can speak in public and be a wreck. You can look tough and cry. You can look attractive and feel abhorrent. You can have everything and feel nothing. You can know there is hope and there be hope." So the reason that I've read that directly is because that really has stuck with me since I've read it, and I keep revisiting it and thinking about how it sort of relates to some of the things that I've experienced. The first thing around paradox means that things may seem contradictory, but it can also be true, so it sort of makes sense. I always thought that there's like a separation between super confident people and then people who struggle with their confidence and have anxiety and things, but it's just not true. So I've been working on my confidence quite a lot. And one of the things that I've been doing is putting myself into situations where I feel completely out of my comfort zone. And the reason I've been doing that is because the more you read, the more you realise that the people that get confident do it by taking steps towards things that scare them. So putting themselves in situations to allow yourself to grow and develop. And I've been reading a lot about brain plasticity and how you can change the way your brain works. I was terrified of public speaking, and I started overcoming that fear by putting myself in scenarios where I did have to do public speaking. So I did some lectures at universities, and that was arranged through the council, so I had opportunities to do that. And now I go to a public speaking group where I regularly have to talk in front of people. At the same time as developing that skill, I was continuing to experience anxiety around various things, and anxiety is something that I've had since being very young, and I'm not going to go through like the triggers for that, but it's manifested itself in panic attacks. And when I felt really low and stressed, it was like I had a constant pain in my chest, that like a ball of stress that just didn't go away. It did make me feel very alone, and I think it made me feel really uncertain because it felt like it just was sitting there and not going, and I didn't know how to control it. And it sort of challenged my identity as well, because I started to see myself as someone that wanted to achieve the things that they wanted, and pushing myself towards things and thinking, I want to be a good social worker, I want to be good at these things that I'm trying to do, and I want to be the best person that I can be, really. And this is getting in the way, this feeling of stress all the time and this anxiety. And I think I read this and I thought, you can be a paradox, so you can be confident and you can have anxiety. Just because I was experiencing these feelings and struggling so much in one regard didn't take away from my other aspect of myself where I could achieve things. And I found that was really helpful, because sometimes having mental health difficulties can make you feel like you can't achieve anything and you feel quite worthless. So I remember having these feelings like, well, I'm not good enough and I'm not going to be able to do my job because of these feelings and things. And I read a lot about internalized stigma. So it's where you take on board some of the negative things that is portrayed in society around mental health. So people not being able to work, or feeling like certain people are less able or whatever. And I think I did internalise that myself. And then I had a bit of a dilemma because I thought, well, I'm trying to help other people that are having these difficulties, but then if I don't acknowledge it and get support or try and work through it, what does that mean for me? Am I a fraud and not practicing what I preach? And I just having all of these thoughts. As I moved through this piece that Matt Haig put on, so he said you can speak in public and be a wreck. There has been times where I have been speaking in public, and in my job there's been situations where I've dealt with challenge from various situations and I've dealt with it really well and I felt like I'd dealt with it professionally. But then because I'd built up stress for weeks before, something that someone said on one occasion just made me feel like it had just clipped me over the edge, and I just went in a room and I just couldn't stop like having a panic attack. It just made me think that all those people in that room thought that I was absolutely fine and that I was really confident and fine, you know, with dealing with that situation. But then in private, I wasn't okay. And it just shows that people can hide how they're really feeling, and that if you are feeling like you're having these issues, you can start feeling very alone. And I did at the time, but then I started thinking that I needed to address it, especially when that happened. It was just like a point where I needed to work through it. So that moves me on to the last point that he says, that you can know there's no hope and there be hope. I think that that's a difficult one to get your head around, but a few of the things that I thought about is I had to get to a place where I recognised that I couldn't carry on dealing with how I was feeling just on my own, because I was really trying to just manage it and deal with it, but it just wasn't working. So I ended up starting to tell a few people and just saying, I'm really struggling with anxiety and I don't know what to do. One thing that happened was that there was some people that judged me negatively, and that happens. I think there is stigma. I just wanted to acknowledge that first. But there was also a lot of people out of the people I spoke to that did understand and had been through it themselves, and it really helped me. And the positive of that way outweighed the negative of the people that didn't understand. I also went to the doctors and acknowledged it there. I think just having someone acknowledge that it was stress rather than anything physical, it helped me understand that that was definitely what was going on there. But just saying it out loud and acknowledging that it was something I was struggling with, I think helped in itself. And then from that point on, it was weird. I started doing things to try and take more control of the situation, like trying to find out what support I could get from a therapy perspective. And I didn't end up needing it in the end, but I think just knowing that I had access to it and I knew what my options were helped me feel less trapped. And it was weird because if you look at it, it says you can know there's no hope and still have hope. And I think when I sort of accepted the fact that I was struggling and I didn't know what to do, it sort of set me free, and it took me from feeling very alone to feeling connected with other people. And then I started to feel connected to myself, and I started feeling connected to the things around me again, because everything had gone really grey, and I started noticing the colour outside, and it was like it all just came back to me. And I suppose I'm saying this because I just think it's so important for people to recognise that I'm pretty sure everyone goes through this to a certain extent. If they recognise it or not, that's one thing. But I think we should be more like literate around these issues and have more of an awareness of it when it happens. And hopefully that can support other people. You know, so I do believe that if you understand yourself better, you are more helpful to other people. So yeah, thank you. If you enjoyed the video, please can you like and subscribe and press the bell if you'd like to be updated when I put out more videos. Thank you.